This is one of the most thrilling and important occasions that I've had the pleasure to participate in as a lawyer. I have been a lawyer in this community for almost 20 years. My family has been in the law for 60 years. And I am in the presence of so many members of the court, and I'm a court officer. I take that responsibility very seriously. And when I was sworn in to practice law, I took an oath to defend those who were disadvantaged and to never turn away from those who, for any number of circumstances, found themselves in distress. And now we find that our society is disadvantaged, and our society, for any number of reasons, is in distress. In the last 30 years, the crime rate in this country has risen by 30%. And we can't just simply keep on spending money. Money is not available to spend on incarceration. We need money to spend to uplift the society and not simply to throw those into incubators to create even more heinous criminal conduct. If we can't spend money on building prisons, then what shall we do? And lest any of you think that I am unnecessarily dismissing the fiscal and prison building approach as the appropriate remedy, consider that in California from 1980 to 1992, $3.8 billion have been spent on building new prisons. And California has quadrupled its prison inmate population. And its rate of violent crime has risen every year, and now it is 10 times what it was 10 years ago. It doesn't work. And throwing people in jail doesn't mean that their stress levels go down, or that they all of a sudden will have the vision or the understanding to be able to act in accordance with what our society and our nation deem to be appropriate behavior and to what the family of citizens in our community deems to be appropriate. We can't also just hire more policemen. Policemen are our friends. We adore their conduct. They are heroes in our society. We just passed a bill to put 100,000 new policemen on the streets. But does that work? The highest crime rate in the country is in Washington, D.C., which has the highest ratio of policemen to citizens. So we put our beloved police officers in an environment of lawlessness and violence and stress, expose their lives to peril, and we don't support them by reducing stress and peril and violence in the society. So we can't use the legislative muscle that is in this room simply to hire more policemen and to build more prisons. You all should keep on doing that. We applaud that approach. We're not in favor of relaxing the penal codes. But let's do something to relieve the terrible stress and congestion within the prisons. And how do we do that? What we know is that young men and women who are school dropouts, who have drug and alcohol problems, those are the prime candidates for careers of lawlessness. Can we do something to clear up the thinking of those young men and women? Can we do something to resolve the stress, relieve the stress and tension in their lives? And the answer, as Mr. Ancalasaria has already indicated, and it's been established in the laboratories of communities all around the world, is the use of the TM program. And what's wonderful about what the judges have done here is that all around the world we've been using the TM technique in prison inmate populations, which reduces recidivism, which reduces inmate violence, and that's great, but that's an after-the-fact remedy. What these visionaries on the bench are saying is, let's give these youthful offenders a real second chance. Don't just put somebody on probation and say, okay, now try and do better. Let's give them the tools of consciousness to actually enable them to have the clarity of thought and the harmony within their lives to have a more productive life in accordance with our nation's laws and natural law. And that's what the great vision is here. Is this a Herculean task? Sure it is. We have an epidemic of crime in our country. Hercules was asked to clean up the stables of Rome. What these judges and what all of us here are asking our society to do is clean up the stables of home. And this is my home. I raised my family here. I want them to be free from the threat of violence. The FBI's most recent crime report says that every citizen has a realistic chance of being murdered because of the epidemic of random violence in our society. We can't have that. And therefore, I applaud these heroes. I've known Judge Mason for years. We were at the same law school where he was a national champion. We have worked at the university together in the Alumni Affairs Office and on the Board of Governors of the Alumni Association. It was my honor to introduce Mr. Ancalasario to Judge Mason, and I want to say from the bottom of my heart that I think that Judge Mason is a hero in our society for what he has done, and what we have here is the promise to do more than pay lip service to the idea of prevention, but to actually do something that works. And therefore, it is my very great honor, Judge Mason, to turn the platform over to you. He is a distinguished academic. He was a fine private practitioner, and he is a light of enlightenment and a light of inspiration on the bench. And good luck and Godspeed. Judge Mason.